whenever we make up the day, they have to make it up as well.
I don't know if this addresses exactly what you're saying, but they started early because because we thought they would want to be out when the kids were out. There was no reason for them to stay. That was the thought when we talked to Shelley, was if they would come in early, the secretaries can use help, all these people could use help, librarians and all that getting ready. So the thought was bring them in early, and then they'd be done. The day the kids are done, they're done.
But I think the issue was that the principals weren't available on Monday and Friday, right?
Right, this summer, that there were some that were not working.
Yeah.
So, I'm just, I just want us to be fair to all of our staff. I just think all the staff.
Well, and
No, it would be people on the extended, I'm not talking about, I'm like the 12-month contracts. That's what I'm referring to.
Like the ones that are on the 12-month contract.
They get vacation
They have
days.
vacation days and,
Yep.
So
there's several things could have caused that.
They could have, I didn't think about that.
Yep,
Could have
they
been.
can take
But
They
that.
the
would've-
12-month people are either at the high school or here,
Right,
or bus barn. And our office was never just open 3 days, ever.
all right, good. That's good.
The 1 week in July, our office is always closed because of cleaning.
Right.
And it's the 4th, and we have the 4th off, and
that anyway, so.
Okay.
Those are vacation days.
then we take vacation days for the days that they're cleaning.
Could be in there. Everybody knows that. That's not a, that's not.
Right, that's what I'm
nothing
saying, that's the
No.
only time I can tell you that
Do
there
you
may
put
have
that
not
on
been
the,
some.
on the answering machine or anything?
We don't have an answering
Oh,
machine,
you don't,
but I do
okay.
put it on the door like in June,
Okay,
so everybody gets used to the July hours.
okay, okay.
And in July, we're not here on Fridays, we've always done that too. We're not
So-
here on Friday, but we are here on Monday.
You did work on Monday, okay?
Yep.
Okay.
We switched well, we worked the month of June, from the day school was out, we started our 5-day weeks.
For the
That
entire
following,
yep.
we had that Monday off, and then we started, the day after Memorial Day, we started that was a 4-day week.
June, we
But
work
then-
5 days.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to
Just
say.
for some
The
reason.
fall- the
And
first
then
week.
July, we go back to 4-day.
I
and
thought
we're
I
off
understood. Now
Friday.
you're confusing me. Anyway.
Judy, the other thing too is, I know when I was over at the high school, 12 months, so I was over there all the time unless I was on vacation. This year, there was that, I moved over and then Jeff started, well, as soon as Jeff started, he took some vacation time. So about the only thing, and I can appreciate that because they call the high school a lot for transcripts and things like
Right.
that. So
Right.
probably the only other thing we could do is make sure that it's manned.
Yeah,
By
I
some-
think
so, too.
One, even if there's just somebody there to
I think so,
answer the
too.
phone.
Because July was sketchy, whether there was
It was.
anybody over there.
Yeah.
So and I can totally see that too.
So do we need to address that where?
We will.
What
Administration.
Yeah.
Not a big deal, we can handle it. So.
Okay, the other thing I had was on the stipends, and the one you gave us last month is not the one that we approved. The stipend list. The one that we were given last month, we have a different one that was given to us on 6/28. And the one given to us last month, there is a $14,344, and it says admin, and that's not on the one that we did not approve that.
Can I address it?
Yeah.
Okay, that was not on there because it is not a stipend. That is not considered a stipend. That person that you're speaking of is paid partially on a teaching contract, partially on an admin contract, as we talked about, and then they have a stipend, which is on there.
Okay, well, yeah, there is a stipend.
That was
There are
a,
two. So there's like
they have one
22,000.
stipend,
Well, there's the 8,000 and the 14,000.
that's the stipend. The 14
It's
is,
part of the salary.
is part of the salary.
Okay, but we did not discuss that.
That's
We
not the way I
discussed that,
understood
we
it either.
discussed it was gonna be a teacher,
Teacher
we were
salary.
gonna have a teacher salary, is what we said in our meeting. It's gonna be a teacher
With an
salary.
with an
With-
aid
But we
stipend.
talked
With
about
stipend.
him, we talked about him being, helping Jeff.
Right,
Right,
but
taking on some other
Well, we
added
may have talked about
responsibilities.
some helping, but we didn't talk about here's what it is. All right, so we approved a budget back here on 6/28. So is that in our budget? Was that somewhere in our budget that we didn't see? This
No.
14,000?
It was a part of the amendment to the budget, yes, that you did see. So it wasn't, I wasn't trying to fool anybody, it was what. I
Well, it
was-
was just never given to us on any, as,
It's
Like
not a
everything
stipend
else.
though, it's not a stipend. When he was hired, it is his contract.
Right.
He's,
so he gets an extra $14,000.
he gets 40% of a teaching contract, I believe, and
I'd have to look.
I'd have to look. 40% of a teaching contract's what I'm gonna say. And then he gets 60% of an admin contract, and then he gets
Okay.
his stipend.
Well,
That is not a
I don't ever
stipend.
recall
No,
that being
me- no.
discussed in our meetings, ever.
No.
I don't recall that at all.
I remember talking about
I know
he was gonna
he
get
was gonna do
something.
Yeah, he was gonna do an extra where our assistant principal, he was gonna pick up where that was.
But he
left
was
off.
not, it says, well, but we said it would not be an administrator because we did not
Want to,
have the numbers for the administrator.
Isn't an AD is an administrator?
Well,
Technically.
depends how you look at it. No, don't know.
What
That was
do you
just sort of my
classify them
assumption.
as if you don't? classify them
I
as
just sort of
admin?
Well, I don't know.
I-
I never thought of it that way. I've never thought of it.
Yeah, that's
Where
normally,
would we put it if we
normally
didn't?
they're considered administrators.
Okay.
Yeah. When we report it to Desi, they're considered an administrator.
Anything else?
Okay, well, I'm gonna ask then, from now on, when we get that sheet that you give us, when we're hiring someone, you put their salary, what they're going to
yeah,
make
that'd
on
be
it,
good.
so that we know what that's going to cost us.
Yep.
Because salaries are supposed to be public anyway, they're not supposed to be hidden from us.
It wasn't hidden from you. We understood that he was gonna be paid an admin salary.
Well, I didn't understand. that.
Okay,
But
well,
when
I
we-
just
I
want
went
it
back
noted
through all
that
my
we
notes and
we
I
weren't
didn't
trying to
see that.
cover up anything. We were just doing what was right to get a good administrator and a good AD here, so.
Okay, anything else?
Which falls under those guidelines. I mean, there's, what do they,
Well,
What
we
have
were
they
never
done
told
wrong?
we were hiring
Right.
an administrator. We were not told that. We were told in our meeting that we were hiring a teacher.
I recall it was part.
Yeah, it was, ha-
Yeah.
yeah.
it was gonna be
I
teacher salary and
remember
AD
But he
With
salary.
would be
admin
making
duties,
Yeah.
to me, he would get an admin salary, so I guess
I
that's
just
just where we're all on a
understand.
different page.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was never meant to be
Right.
anything under the table.
Oh, I don't think so either. I think maybe maybe there wasn't full communication, but as far as dollars, but I mean, I think everybody knew that he was gonna get paid something.
Well, I
For doing
did,
the
I did,
extra.
but I thought it was that extra
Right, cause I'd even
8,000
written it
that's on
down,
there.
and I wrote down teacher salary plus admin,
But
AD
was his stipend just his AD stipend?
Right,
Right.
Yeah.
so the
There too,
14,000 was what we
one
did.
she says is salary, not.
But it's not listed here under salary when you have his
That's,
pay
it wasn't
rate.
on what we approved, that's what I'm getting at.
It wasn't on the
So-
stipend sheet because it wasn't a stipend. Yes, you're right.
It was
You're right
an
about
extra
that.
duty, not a stipend.
No,
It
it's
wasn't
not
even
an extra
It was
duty, it's part of his
Part of the
contract.
salary.
Part of the salary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but why isn't it listed as salary on the salary page then, on this pay rate? Is this the wrong one? I got the wrong one then? It's because it says
Is
pay
that the one
rate.
I gave you?
This
Is that the one I gave you last
I
month?
believe so, yes. And it says pay rate is 40-some thousand. That doesn't add another 14,000 to it. Pay rate right there, 42,365.
Well,
Well,
So it's just on the wrong sheet.
Okay, well,
I
but
don't
that's
know,
what
I
I
just
thought
need
it
to
was
look at
typing
it.
too.
okay, let's look at that maybe.
because it is his contract.
Okay.
Let's move along. MSBA membership and maintenance agreement.
Just need to do that like we do every year, to have MSBA take a look at our policies and
Yep,
keep us compliant.
okay.
That's just a yearly thing that we're a member of the MSBA, it's. we
I
take
make a
care of.
motion for that.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor of MSBA maintenance agreement, raise your right hand. Thank you, 7-0. Now we get to the fun part. Out in front of you should have these lovely copies.
If you don't want to read them, I can give you a synopsis real quick, because I read them.
I'm hoping you could do that.
Okay.
And what I was thinking is, we're going to do the first reading, and you're gonna give us a summary, and then next month we'll come back and we'll vote on these.
Bobby's not here to read it.
I know.
Well, I read them for you. The first packet, which is, the first package, which starts with file DC, it says critical at the top right-hand side.
DC.
Yep. That one, basically, that's there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different policies. A few of them are, most of them are Title I, slight changes where they change the verbiage. One of them is they change it from parents to parent/guardian, and that's about the entire change. So there are a few of them are changes like that. One of them is, or three of them actually, are separating 504 and special education, because before their policies had 504 and special ed together. Now they've separated them so that, because 504 plans are not actually special ed, but they work together. So MSBA separated them, and that's what three of them are. And it's basically the exact same thing, they just separated them and put them in two different policies.
The highlighted information is what they've added.
Yeah,
And then the line.
to strike through,
As Tammy told me, the yellow is new,
Right.
line out is old.
right. Also included in there were some more paperwork that we already do, pretty much already do, so it's just, some of it is just clarification. One is termination, if we terminate a staff member because of a felony, we now have to tell peers and PSRS that they've been terminated because of a felony, because they're gonna lose their, you know, they're gonna forfeit all their license, well, not their license, or this is their pension. They lose their pension.
Teacher retirement.
Yeah, that's new, that's kind of a big one.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't have made a felony.
They'll lose their school.
One of them that's got the dyslexia training in there, it's got the 504 language switch,
Well, we know we shouldn't.
special ed, Title I parent involvement engagement. All they really did was, we already do that, all they did was change it from parent involvement night to parent engagement night. So they just added that to it. So, homeless changes, there's a whole lot in there, but Mr. Kirby goes to training next week for that, so that'll be fun for him. Then migrant workers, we still do everything that we used to do for migrant, determine if they're migrant, but then we send it to the state and feds, they get to determine if it's actually a migrant child. We do all the legwork instead of, that's actually a good one for us, because now we don't make that determination, somebody else makes that determination. So we still all do all the groundwork and send it to them. Foster care dispute, really what that says is, if, that's not really us, that says we're working with child services. So if somebody's placed in foster care, we work with child services. That's all it's saying, is we have to do that, we already do that, it's just outlining it. Some ELL changes, which Mr. Cook is going to be training on. And then summer school, they just changed it for enrichment to say, because most school districts don't just, what it used to say is it was remedial, catch up, or get ahead for high school kids, when a lot of it's is just enrichment stuff, which is go for, you know, educational fun. So they changed that. That's the first pack. The tax hearing, really the tax hearing change, the very first one on that one, I'm sorry. Tax hearing change, we don't have to publish it in the newspaper anymore. We just have to put it in a public place. They don't define what public place is.
Charge a lot for that.
Yeah, our door,
Almost
yeah.
$300.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you just do it in one
Ridiculous,
paper or
because
two?
it's mandatory.
Is that
One.
Okay.
But what the policy says is that since newspapers are dying,
Yeah.
that some school districts have said, can we just post it in a public place? And now we get to define what a public place is, so that'll be on our website
Yeah.
and all the schools, that's a public place.
Yep.
The next group, which is IGBA, API,
The procedures.
procedures, these are just procedures. The first one's just there's like 1, 2 eliminate, 3 eliminate.
And procedures aren't
Yeah.
approved by the board,
Right.
but I just gave them to you because you
So we
wanted
need
to
to-
change it.
And what do these reference in general?
It's all over the place. It's students with disabilities, it's special ed. One of them is a procedure that if parents didn't like their IEP placement, it could be challenged to the state or an outside source, and the district has to pay for that. But they reduced it, the policy now says you can only do that once. Because there were parents out there, they didn't like it, so they got a second opinion, made the school pay for it, and then they corroborated what the school said, so they went to somebody else and kept going and kept asking for the school to pay that. And what this policy says, this procedure now says, you can't do that, you only do it once. And we haven't had that. Shelley does such a good job, we haven't had that, so.
Yet.
yet, but,
You gotta knock on wood.
We never know.
one of them changes the procedure. All it does is add guardian to descriptions. So instead of parents, it says guardians. Parents and guardians, parents and guardians. Eliminate. One, if a student goes to jail or juvenile detention and they're one of our students, we have to provide them with education. But usually the juvenile department does that and we work with them. So, and then migrant students, federal policy change, and then foster care placement dispute. So it's stuff we're already involved in, it's just cleaning a lot of it up. So that's the summary of all those. There's a whole lot to read there. Knock yourselves out.
All right.
That's,
Well, we'll do the second reading next month, and if you guys don't have any problems, we'll probably just go ahead and vote on them. And here's the reason I heard from the lady today, it's gonna be quite a big bunch coming again. So I wanted to get these out of the way, that's why we're kind of handing them out tonight and talking about them.
Okay,
I thought they only brought us a group once a year.
No, 3 times.
Oh, 3 times.
Usually 3 times, but this other one's right on this one's back.
And there's a big pile again.
What
it
she
seems
told
like
me.
a bigger batch than we had last year.
It is. A lot of the things that they've done here are not massive changes. Some of them are just to match the ESSA, ESSA regulations and making minor changes. Shelley will have to do a lot. She'll have some changes that she has to do just procedural wise, but for the most part, it's not any massive changes. Some language changes. Except for the one, they eliminated 4 of them because there were 3 of them, 3 or 4 of them because they're redundant. It's the exact same policy written somewhere else, so they scratched it out, yeah.
Okay, anybody else got any comments or thoughts before we go do closed session? Anyone?
I appreciate you reading that. I
bet.
really do. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah, he
It
didn't.
makes it a lot easier. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. I kind of thought it was my job. If I don't have to, you all can do it.
No,
too.
it's your
Okay,
job.
okay.
We'll stick with it.
All right.
Okay, if anything
Bobby, it's
else,
your job.
is there a motion we proceed into executive session?
I make a motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we proceed into executive session. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Thank you, 7-0. Thank you, guys. Have a good